From R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, this is The Retirement.
When you retire, if you want an exciting life, you need a boring investment strategy.
Matters.
If you enter into retirement without a plan for income, you're not retired, you're simply unemployed.
Podcast.
Hey, this is your host, Dale Smothers, and you're listening to the Retirement Matters Podcast. My hope is that you will find the information you need in every single show on how to do one of the three things: either saving more money more efficiently, planning better for your future where you can live in retirement worry-free, or my favorite, how you can live a happy and fulfilled life in this life you have been given. We know that your time is valuable and we appreciate you spending it listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. On this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast, we talk specifically to our Kentucky residents who are listening about something called the Homestead Exemption. Now, good news is you're listening to this on podcast, and we know we have listeners all over the country. You too likely have some sort of homestead exemption. Some states save a lot more than Kentucky. Some states save a little less. But what you do have to make sure that you're understanding about this show and every show we do is that working together with a retirement income specialist who is designing the plan around your income phase rather than your growth phase should also be giving you opportunities to save money in taxes. That plan needs to address a tax strategy, and that's how we help here at RDS Wealth. 270-600-PLAN to get in touch with our team. We can set up a time to discuss that with you and show you exactly how you need to be working inside of your own retirement plan. Sometimes Roth conversions make sense. Other times they do not. But utilizing all of the exemptions that are at your disposal make you more efficient. And in addition to that, making sure that we are saving you taxes can essentially put more money back into your pocket without taking any extra risk in the stock market. That's how we help. We enjoy you listening every single episode. If you've listened to multiple episodes and gotten a good gauge of whether or not you like the show, we'd love an opportunity to hear your review. And we would really welcome you to like, subscribe, or share with friends, because the more reach we get, the more we can accomplish our mission here at RDS Wealth, which is empowering others to impact the lives and enrich the futures of those generations to come. And we do this by imparting them with confidence in their retirement years. So without further ado, let's get to this week's episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. And I hope you enjoy the show. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. You're ready to start discussing all things retirement matters. This show is going to be full of information. A lot of it's going to revolve around taxes. We are going to give you one specific tool, one specific exemption that you need to know about if you're over the age of 65 that could save you hundreds of dollars per year for the rest of your life in taxes. And we bring our local PVA here in Taylor County, Kentucky, into the studio to discuss just that. You're not going to want to miss that segment. We also are going to discuss what you should be doing right now if you are seeing your IRA a little lower this month than it was last month. There may be some golden opportunities to take advantage of that. And we also really want to focus in on what it means to have a true tax plan. We're going to discuss all of this in today's show. So really, taxes is what we're going to be discussing. So let's get off of all the negative talk, because taxes is a negative word for sure. At RDS Wealth, we want to help you save taxes. We want to help you, especially as you enter into retirement, lower your overall tax bill. And we don't do your tax return. That's not what we do. We build strategic plans and strategies for you to employ alongside your CPA to make sure that you are mitigating taxes along retirement. We know, as a matter of fact, we've seen this in action. We know that if we can save you 10 or 20 or even 30% in your lifetime tax bill, it's the same as if we had made an extra 10 or 20 or 30% in your retirement returns, and all of that is done without any additional risk. It's a win-win. We know that a tax plan must speak directly to your investment plan, your income plan, your healthcare plan. All of those have to tie together for it to be done efficiently. That's why we build the Retirement Atlas, which walks you through all 5 worlds of retirement. We're going to discuss, again, one particular strategy that you need to be employing if you haven't already inside of your tax plan. If you're over the age of 65, don't go anywhere. We're coming with that later in the show. Before we get to all that, let's talk about this positive pause that we want to do every single show. If you're a listener of the show, we do this weekly. We pause for just a few minutes. We talk about something positive. We talk about something in the news. Maybe it's just a little inward reflection, something we can do a little better today, maybe than we did yesterday. Getting 1% better. That's our goal every single day. And I came across something this week that made me think, man, we need to discuss that in the Pause for Positivity section with you specifically. And this was a Mayo Clinic study that was recently done that showed that positive thinking is one of the most important things that you can do to relieve stress. It talks about, the study specifically said that if you do not have positive thinking, you handle stress much more negatively, and which seems like of course, right? No brainer. That of course that's the case, Dale. But there is scientific proof that if we talk to ourselves negatively, we have a very high tendency of making bad decisions in stressful situations. And what part of life actually isn't stressful? That would be my question. So making more bad decisions results from essentially negative self-talk. And I thought something specific that stood out in this study that was interesting to me was that many people say things to themselves that they would never say to a friend. And it went through a few scenarios. I'll read one here. It says, many people say things like, I'll never figure this out. I'm not good enough. I'm always going to struggle. Okay. In this article, it says, would you ever talk to your friend that way? So think about that for a second. Would you ever tell your friend, you're just not good enough? Would you ever tell your friend, you're always going to struggle? Or would you ever look at your friend and say, you're never going to figure this out? Chances are good you would not do that. Yet we talk to ourselves that way far too often. Now, I've been taught to not talk to yourself that way since I was a little kid. My dad has instilled that in me. And that's not to say I'm better than anyone. It's that I just don't struggle with this as much. But I'm guilty of saying things like, that was stupid, or I should have known better. And while those statements are true, instead of saying those things, perhaps we could say things like, wow, this is a great opportunity for me to learn how to do it differently. Or, I've just never done this before, and now I know how to do it correctly. These positive spins on what would otherwise be negative talk allow you to then reinforce your ability to learn from mistakes. And the Mayo Clinic study basically says, if we are not careful with negative self-talk, we will actually talk ourselves into a reality that would have perhaps not been the reality otherwise. You will stay in situations that you could have worked yourself out of. You will never try a certain thing again because you failed that first time. Almost as if, when I was reading this, it was almost as if the human psyche is so concerned with what we think of ourselves that we will avoid humiliation from ourselves. It was kind of a mind-blowing article that I read. This Mayo Clinic study, again, put scientific proof that positive self-talk is certainly something we should practice more of. Negative self-talk tends to have negative connotations, negative ramifications, rather, and it tends to have even health issues that will lead from negative self-talk over a period of time. Biblically, I think that this is backed by the statement of life and death lies within our tongue, that our tongue has the power of life and death. That's a biblical statement. So speaking life, speaking positively to ourselves is something I want to challenge you to do, not only this coming week, but every week to follow. Be thinking about that. How are we talking to ourselves? Are we talking to ourselves as we would our best friend? Or are we talking to ourselves in a negative way? Negative self-talk has so many negative consequences. Financially, mentally, and even health-wise, there could be consequences that you do not want to have. And it all starts with making the decision to reframe the way you talk to yourself. This is not saying you've got to think of everything as roses and the world is perfect. No. Instead, I think you should just encourage yourself whenever you make a mistake. Encourage yourself to do it differently or try differently or learn from that mistake. And by doing that, I think that, again, we can be in a better place to then go impact the world around us. That's our pause for positivity. Fun little study. Again, Mayo Clinic came out with a scientific proof that negative self-talk is not good for anybody. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're actually going to go ahead and jump into this interview with the PVA, local PVA here, Taylor County, Kentucky. You're not going to want to miss this if you are over the age of 65. Many ways to save in taxes. We help retirees do just that. One of them is just making sure you're taking full advantage of all the exemptions you have. And the one that we're about to talk about after this break is probably one of the most underutilized exemption that can save as much as $500 per year on your property tax bill. If you live in Kentucky and over the age of 65, you're not going to want to miss this interview with Chad Shively, local PVA here at Taylor County, Kentucky. Very knowledgeable when it comes to the Kentucky Revenue Department and how you can help save in your own taxes. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's get into this interview as we promised before the break. I want to set it up just so you know kind of what we're talking about here. There is something that is under-discussed by advisors called the Homestead Exemption. Financial advisors many times focus on just growth alone, and perhaps they set up some sort of a systematic withdrawal for retirees once they begin to retire, but they're not looking at the holistic picture most of the time. And one of the things we do here at RDS Wealth is we make sure that we understand your tax plan. We'll talk more about this in today's show, but one of the things that we want to address, and we're not doing tax returns per se, that's not our objective, not to do tax returns, but instead we address a holistic approach and putting a preliminary plan together for you to avoid unnecessary IRS tax bills by navigating the current tax code the best we possibly can and doing our best to predict what is to come in the tax code based off of all the macroeconomic data that we have at our disposal. And what this does, again, is it oftentimes helps save money in taxes. And if we can save you money in taxes, it's the same as if we made you money in your investment plan, which is why in the retirement income phase, it is very important for you to look at your investments, your tax plan, your income plan, and your healthcare plan all in one big scope. And again, this is where a lot of financial advisors who are growth oriented, they work very well on the growth side of the mountain, but the income side, they fall short specifically because they just aren't looking at the whole picture. Not because they're bad advisors. Perhaps they just don't have the skill set, they don't have the software, or even we know a lot of big box corporations that won't allow them to look at the whole picture because they're really built to just sell mutual funds. And that's how they get paid. At RDS Wealth, we do things differently. And this show is built to help you build a holistic retirement plan. We have an opportunity for you. Every single week, we offer you a free consultation. And if you'd like that second set of eyes on your plan, we're here, 270-600-PLAN. That's how you would get in touch with us, 270-600-7526. But if you are interested in just a 15-minute phone call, navigate to our website, rdswealth.com, rdswealth.com. Navigate to that website. You can set up a time for us to call you when it's convenient. Someone on our team, one of our advisors, will reach out to you to really start to dive into what your next steps may need to be to build the plan that you've always imagined would get you to the retirement you've always desired. So this is where we come in every single week and give you a little bit of information. The information I'm about to give you is information that if you're over the age of 65, you can implement tomorrow. By putting the right things into motion, you can save a substantial amount of money on your tax bill, and this is pertaining specifically to your property tax bill. We sat down with the local PVA here in Taylor County, Kentucky, and for my listeners in Tennessee or perhaps on the podcast all over the country, your individual homestead exemption may be different. Get in touch with our team. We can help you understand what yours is. But the majority of our listeners on this radio show are from Kentucky. And so I want to play this clip that myself and Chad Shively, local PVA here in Taylor County, Kentucky, we began to discuss this homestead exemption. And we made a little joke at the beginning. You know, it's such a riveting conversation. But for those who are over the age of 65, it really can be a good money saver for you. And so many people we talk to have no idea that they have this option. So let's talk about it now with Mr. Chad Shively. Here is that conversation. Hello, Chad. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. You?
I'm doing very well. Very well. We are going to talk about something very exciting here.
Riveting.
Riveting. Yeah, you're going to on the edge of your seat for sure.
I am. If I woke up tomorrow morning with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be any more excited than I am right now.
I love it. So
that's an old Christmas Vacation reference.
I remember that. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's a good movie. So let's go to this homestead exemption. You know, it can save a lot of people a lot of money. And surprisingly, people across the state don't realize this is here. Now, you do a very good job of keeping Taylor County residents in the know, which is why you are the PVA you are, the quality of PVA that you are.
Well, I appreciate that.
But I do know that we've had retirees who have moved into this state.
Right.
And they have specifically, we've talked to a few, one in particular just recently. This is why I wanted to talk to you about it.
Right.
They came from Pennsylvania, had no idea, been here for years, had no idea that this was something that could be done. So let's talk about this Homestead Exemption Act. Let's start with how much money it can actually save an individual that qualifies.
So there's it's kind of like a two-part question there. You've got what it will save on someone's assessment, what comes off, and then ultimately what is going to come off of someone's property tax bill later that year.
Good.
So the exemption amount for the last 2 years, and I say that because we'll get into that probably in just a little bit, but $49,100 comes off of the assessed value. So then you're left paying on the difference.
Sure.
So roughly in Kentucky, as a whole, you can, if anybody was ever moving here, or if you were deciding to purchase a property, and sometimes you're like, what do you think the property tax will run in Kentucky? Generally, now obviously there's some outliers,
sure,
but to kind of get you in the ballpark is 1% of that assessment is what is basically going to be the bill. What those rates add up to is close to 1, and that's a generality. Like I said, obviously there are some communities that have additional services that are taxed that some counties don't.
Sure.
But even with that, so you can kind of do the exact same thing. If that exemption is worth $49,100, roughly $490.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to come that. Immediate savings.
Sure. Immediate savings. And to be able to qualify for this, it's not a lot of loopholes to really jump through. Let's talk about the application process and two main ways that you can qualify for the exemption.
So the two main ways for this exemption is going to be, it's kind of like I teach a class for the Department of Revenue, and I teach to other PVAs and other office deputies. And I always say it's something and something. It's easy. It's this and this.
Sure.
So you either have to be 65 or older and own and occupy.
Okay.
So you have the age requirement of 65 or older and own and occupy.
Sure.
And what that does is that cuts out any other property that you may own. It's your primary residence, basically.
Primary residence, okay.
So then you're going to have also one other way, eligibility way, is to be 100% disabled receiving benefits for a full calendar year and own and occupy.
Got it.
So that owning, occupying is it works for both of them. The only other criteria is either age or 100% disabled,
100%
drawing disability benefits for the full year.
And reaching 65, the year in which you reach 65 is the year in which you can apply, or tell us a little bit about that.
So if you're going to be 65 in 2026, we're doing this podcast July of 2026. If you are turning 65 in December of 2026, you still get the benefit for those 2026 assessments.
Good to know. Gets
to go on that. What we try to do as an office and in several other offices across the state, because I do teach that class for the Department of Revenue, they've kind of piggybacked and taken this. I get a local vendor to actually print up a birthday card for individuals, and then I kind of work with the Kentucky Secretary of State's office, because they're kind of like a record holder for a lot of information inside the state of Kentucky. So I'm able to kind of get some birthday information, just general birthday.
Sure.
And then I send that birthday card saying, hey, you might be eligible for this. You need to contact our office. And so with that, we're able to kind of get in front of a lot of these and get people signed up for this exemption that may not otherwise know about it.
Incredible. And there's not many times that the government's beating your door down trying to help you save.
Yeah, that was like that Ronald Reagan quote, I'm from the government.
I'm here to help. Sure you are.
Go to the mailbox. I'm trying to help you.
I really am
trying to help you.
I love it. The exemption, homestead exemption, kind of implies that you must live here and, like you said, occupy.
Yes.
What about individuals who maybe have a second home here? How do they qualify for Kentucky's homestead? Are there parameters around that?
So there are some folks that are buying a second home in Kentucky until that home is their primary residence.
And defined by what? 6 months in a day?
You're going to look at there's going to be different things that you can, pieces of information that you can look at. Someone's driver's license being the main thing.
Okay.
It's going to have that primary residence, because if you move, I believe, and this is not in my office, so I'm trying to just, as personal experience, if you move, you have a certain amount of days to get that driver's license changed. Yeah. Even if it's within the same community, you still have a certain amount of days. So obviously that's one piece of information that's used to identify residents. Where do you vote?
Good.
That's like also another way to kind of figure out where is someone, because that's going to be their primary residence.
Let me ask a more specific question, and this is good for those who maybe are moving in. Let's say they move in September of the year 26. Are you aware of a timeline in which, or a time frame in which they have to be in Kentucky, primary residence in Kentucky, for them to apply for Kentucky's homestead?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That is the assessment date for Kentucky is January 1.
Okay.
So they would need to own and occupy that January 1.
Own and occupy January 1.
Now, a lot of times there are individuals that are already receiving that exemption on a piece of property that you might be buying. Well, then you get to, if you're buying in the middle of the year, whenever they're prorating those taxes, you actually get the benefit of it that year as well. Can you kind of see how that works? Whenever they do that, because that individual's tax liability for that year is going to be reduced because of that.
And just as a recap, the homestead exemption allows us to essentially knock off $49,100 of our assessed value. So if you had a home that was worth $100,000, you're going to pay taxes on that as if it was $50,900, not a true $100,000 piece.
I like the quick math in the head.
Yeah,
man.
there you go.
Good.
It's
That's
on the fly
stuff.
too. You saw me. I didn't have a calculator.
Sometimes you're like, hold on, let me get my hands out here.
There's a rule in media: never do math live.
Yeah, let me try to get this. I'm gonna keep my words going here while my brain is moving. Let's keep this going. And you said that 49,100. That is actually the homestead exemption is recalculated every 2 years by the Department of Revenue. They refigure that based on inflation and cost of living, and then they kind of just filter out that number, whatever that exemption number is going to be, to all the offices. We take care of that automatically.
Yeah.
We just change that number in the system, and then you get the benefit of it.
You bring up a good point. The reapplication process does not have to be a laborsome event because it doesn't exist.
No.
Right? There is in Kentucky.
No, you're not going to go backwards.
Reapplication.
If you're 66, you're only going forward.
Yep.
You're not going to go backwards.
So it never expires
until you expire.
Until you expire. So that's it. That's the rule of the exemption. Man, we appreciate the work that you do here. I know this broadcast goes across South Central Kentucky, all over the state of Kentucky, really, even into North Central Tennessee. So if you're in the Tennessee environment, you do have a little bit of a different homestead exemption. But if you are listening to this in the state of Kentucky, what we have just delivered is likely going to be beneficial for you on this year's tax bill if you're over the age of 65 or disabled. But for Taylor County, I'll give a big thank you to what you do here.
Thanks, man.
In this community. So, all right, that is Chad Shively. Appreciate your time, my friend. All right, there you have it. The homestead exemption explained in detail. If you're over the age of 65 or you are disabled and you have a primary residence in the state of Kentucky, you need to get in touch with your PVA today and start saving money. That's the type of advice we want to bring to every one of our clients and listeners here at RDS Wealth. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with a couple of more strategies you need to be deploying inside of your tax plan, because now is a perfect time to consider Roth conversions. We're going to explain that very quickly in just a few seconds. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Matters, presented by R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. If you'd like to speak with us, give us a call at 270-600-PLAN. And if you enjoy the information in this show and would like to hear more, you can access previous shows by searching for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. We also produce a weekly newsletter. Receive it free to your email inbox by signing up online at rdswealth.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. We are here discussing taxes for just a few more minutes. One of the things you need to be focused in on right now with this market sell-off that has occurred over the last couple of weeks, especially market sell-off in the tech sector, is looking at your portfolio and seeing what you have in your portfolio that has been sold off in the last, say, month or two. If you have positions that are below where you purchased them, you may want to consider, if those monies are setting in IRAs, you may want to consider a Roth conversion. Now, there is a lot of things that I can say about this, but I will tell you very briefly why it makes sense for a Roth conversion to occur on an individual stock when the stock is low. If you have a stock that you know should be valued at $100 a share, and let's just say that you purchased it at $90 a share, thinking, man, that's a good deal. I've got a potential for around 10 to 11% upside potential. But then all of a sudden it goes to $50 a share. You may not want to sell that if you know for sure that it's worth $100 a share. And if it lives in an IRA, it may be a perfect opportunity for you to do a Roth conversion on that share, because now you get to pay half price on your taxes. You would convert it from traditional account to a Roth account, and then you would take the tax bill on that share of stock at $50 as opposed to $100. In the future, when it appreciates back to $100, you get every bit of that appreciation completely income tax free, and continued growth until you take it out completely income tax free. And when you take it out, again, completely income tax free. This type of proactive strategy is what we help clients employ here at RDS Wealth inside of their retirement plan, knowing that every dollar in their portfolio has a task, it has a job, and when it becomes appropriate for them, we will proactively reach out and tell them, now is the time to put this money to work doing what we designed it to do. For growth money right now, the money that's long-term growth focused, setting in an IRA, depending on your current tax bracket and the existing tax code, it may make sense for you to do Roth conversions with some of these monies that have been hit, or these stock positions that have been hit pretty hard in the last couple of months. However, know what you own, Because if you own a stock that is no good fundamentally, it may never bounce back at all. But if you own a stock that is fundamentally good, it's just fallen out of favor with the market for whatever reason, perhaps buying more of it or doing a Roth conversion can set you up for extreme success in the future. That's exactly what we do here at RDS Wealth. We build retirement plans that allow retirees who are once worried about retirement to walk confidently into retirement, living happy in that retirement and retiring the way they have always desired. If you would like for us to help you, we're one phone call away. 270-600-PLAN. Give us a call, and we can point you in the right direction towards what your next step should be. All right, guys, just like that, time has escaped us. We gave some really good information. The Homestead Exemption, you need to be aware of that and whether it applies to you. And we also need to understand that markets move up and down. Knowing what to do when they move up, what to do when they move down is exactly what we do for you. We eliminate fears and worries for you in the market and helping you build the retirement you've always imagined. We would love an opportunity to do that with you. And if you give us a call, we'll show you exactly how we do that. From tax planning to tax analysis, income planning and income analysis, Social Security selections, pension selections, Medicare selections, and yes, investing your money in a way that it will help protect the money you've already earned and worked so hard for, but also growing when the market does well. That's what we're here to do. 270-600-PLAN. We would love an opportunity to chat with you, but until we talk again, whether it's in person or right here on the same station, always remember, save money, plan well, and live happy in retirement. God bless.
Investing involves a risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. RD Smothers Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by RD Smothers Wealth Management.